Thank you. I want to move to another topic, but I appreciate your answer on that, thank you, which is the TikTok app. We will have an opportunity to discuss this at much more length, I hope, as a result of the Senate's decision to establish a Senate Select Committee on interference through social media. But just for the record, just confirming that it's still the case that Department of Home Affairs employees can't download TikTok on their department-issued devices?
That's correct, Senator.
Why did the department prevent employees from being able to do that?
Senator, the risks associated with that application and the information that application drew down from both the device and the user's interaction with that device was seen as too high for us to allow its existence on departmental devices.
Yeah, I asked the Director General of the ASD, Rachel Noble, about this in the defence estimates, and she confirmed it was the case for her employees and Department of Defence employees as well. But the company doesn't agree with that assessment. The company says it poses no national security risks at all. You don't share the company's assessment?
No, we do not, Senator.
Why not?
For the reasons that we have talked about, which is the judgments made by independent experts around the application itself would suggest that that data is available, and you know, TikTok has in recent days or weeks at least advised its US interlocutors that there are occasions where Chinese or data is stored in Chinese servers. That poses a risk which is too great for the department to countenance.
Yes, as they did to me in a letter in July when I wrote to them about it, and as they have done in the United Kingdom and the European Union as well. But again, they say that there's no national security risk. I really welcome the comments that the Home Affairs Minister made a few months ago, where she said there is a unique risk posed by applications that are headquartered in authoritarian countries. I think while there certainly are risks from all social media companies, we shouldn't pretend that they're all equal. Instagram and Facebook and Twitter are not beholden to an authoritarian government which is trying to interfere in our democracy or economically coerce us. And she said in that interview that the department was preparing some advice for her. She'd requested some advice. Has that advice been provided yet?
That advice is still in preparation, Senator.
What's the timeline for providing that advice?
We expect to have the study and review completed by the first quarter of next year.
Okay, that'll be good. And that will be obviously looking at wider changes to protect all Australians and their data. Is that right?
So the review will look at the security implications of TikTok. That's correct.
Great. Many parliaments have advised their members that they should not have it on their personal devices. So, for example, in the United States, the Chief Administrative Officer, who's roughly equivalent to the Department of Parliamentary Services, said don't have it on your phone. New Zealand said the same. I pursued this with our Department of Parliamentary Services, and they said they hadn't provided that advice because they hadn't received that advice from anyone, that it was a risk. How is it the case that Home Affairs doesn't allow it on your devices and Defence doesn't allow it on your devices, but DPS is not aware that they should at least warn parliamentarians they shouldn't have it on their devices?
Senator, in much the same way as our conversation about technology, there is no central point for that sort of risk advice to be provided at this present time. And that may well be one of the matters that governments need to turn their mind to in the risk environment we face going forward. Does there need to be an ability of a minister or a department to provide a position that is relevant for all of government?
Yes, I think that is a potential gap which is being identified here. The department recently met, I believe, with TikTok, and Mr Anstey from the department met with them. Who else was present from the department at that meeting?
I might ask Mr Dowling to join me.
Please.
To join us.
Indeed. So, Senator, according to my notes, and I'll ask Mr Dowling to add some additional detail, On the 21st of October, Assistant Secretary Anstey, several of his officers met with Mr Thomas and other TikTok employees virtually. And then on the 22nd of November, First Assistant Secretary Brendan Dowling, to my right, and his staff met with TikTok's Global General Counsel Eric Anderson, Mr Thomas and other TikTok employees.
On notice, could you provide a list of the full names and positions of the TikTok employees who attended the meeting? I don't need all the departmental officials, given you've named Mr Anstey and Mr Dowling, and Mr Dowling's here to assist. So 2 meetings. I understand TikTok requested this meeting with the Minister and the Minister referred it to the department. So I presume that the first meeting on the 21st of October was initiated at TikTok's request. What occurred at that meeting? What was said at that meeting? Give me a broad summary.
You're right, Senator. TikTok, as a congratulations to the new minister, sent her a letter, invited her to engage with TikTok. She referred that to the department. In the first instance, Mr Anstey and his team in the virtual meeting discussed the discussion paper on the National Data Security Action Plan, which was out for consultation, and engaged with TikTok about the terms of that action plan and what our requirements might be. And TikTok provided us their understanding of their position with respect to the National Data Security Action Plan and the sorts of issues that they would like to see covered in that action plan.
And what was the purpose of the second meeting?
So the second meeting was, again, to go through the issues associated with the National Data Security Action Plan. They took it from Mr Thomas to Mr Thomas's boss to bring him into engagement around the issues that we will canvass as we develop the National Data Security Action Plan.
And I imagine TikTok said there's nothing to see here, nothing to worry about, would pose no risk to Australians? The
lines you would expect TikTok to deliver were delivered.
Okay. I'm interested in historically, let's say the last 5 years, how often the department has engaged with TikTok or their parent company, and also WeChat or their parent company, so also Tencent and ByteDance. Perhaps on notice you could provide a list of those meetings, how many of them took place, who participated, were they virtual, if they were physically in location, were they here in Australia or were they in China?
Yeah, we can certainly take that on notice, and we have dealt with both ByteDance and Tencent about various matters, whether they be around the issues of social media engagement during election campaigns, whether they be around the issues of the use of social media in Australia more broadly. So we'll provide you with a full list on notice.
And just finally, on the piece of advice you're preparing for government, is it only going to look at those privacy issues, or is it also going to assess the foreign interference risk posed by these platforms?
Senator, it'll look at the complete relationship of TikTok with Australia and the challenges or otherwise that might be posed.
Yep. And will the advice contain policy recommendations for government?
Yes, Senator.
Okay. All right. Well, I look forward to discussing that further when we have the opportunity, probably through the Senate Select Committee or, if not, through estimates.